Ma'am, please start.
People are joining. Start or wait for some time or
1 hour allotted time. Try to finish within 1 hour. You can just keep 5-10 minutes for the question answer session at the end.
So what is the total time?
Total time is 1 hour.
Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
so is it visible somewhere like how much time is remaining? Is it? I'm unable to
No, no,
see on
no,
screen how.
no. It's 2:30 to 3:30.
Okay, because now it is 2:30. We tried
Yes.
writing 2 minutes back.
2:20. We can take 5-10 minutes extra, not more than that.
I
Ma'am,
need to
please
jump to
start.
another meeting, so yeah,
Okay.
I need to
Yeah,
finish.
sure, sir.
So hi everybody and welcome to this session. And this is the first lecture. This is gonna be the first lecture of this 21 days summer school training program. So we have Dr. Biradar Chandrasekhar sir with us. You all who all might have been present in the morning session would have got introduced to the sir. Sir is the country director India, the Center of International Forestry Research and World Agroforestry. Uh, so, sir, you have 1 hour, as they said. So, all participants, I can see there are around, I think, 51 enthusiastic participants. So, if you have queries that we can take at the end, or simultaneously, you can just pin in everything in the chat box, and later on we can read that. So, this is gonna be 1 hour long lecture. So, stay tuned, and if you have anything, you can write to us anytime. Sir, now it's yours. All, please start, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Atufa. And indeed, I now need to go back to the background so that in the morning inauguration sessions, all the dignitaries provided
So,
very good context.
so
Can
the
you hear me
title
clearly?
is, yes, sir.
The voice is clear?
Yes, sir, it's all clear. And just for the information of participants, the title is gonna be Functional Agroforestry for Green Economic Transition in India. Now you can start, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atufa, and all the colleagues there in IGFRI and the participants. I'm sure like different groups might have joined. And what I'm going to provide is the context of agroforestry in the green economic transitions and Indian scale, and why it's important, where we're heading, and what are the success stories. So basically, entire the course it gives the kind of a context inference is what can be done, moving away from the traditional thoughts in agroforestry to the something innovative way in that process. So the why I've chosen the topic is the green economic transition is that we have been development in the agriculture sector in the last 50 years or so, especially in the conventional system, and we are mostly focused on the only on the economic and yield centric development rather than the green economic. That's ecological sustainability is ignored. That's where we suffered in terms of the natural resources depletions and nutrition security and climate risk. I think that's what we need to be bring back. So when looking back into the our system itself as a whole, and see the crossroads of food system transformations, what I call it that at the moment, we are in the especially we cannot continue the current trajectories. Look into that overshooting of ecological the footprint and climate change and nitrogen, all this the synthetic inputs and borders loss and land degradations. That's become a really the biggest issue. They are overshooting our existing framework, and we need to that diversifying the system. That's become one of the key factor, and including the functional restoration of the production system, what you call balanced agro-ecosystem. In order to bring the balance agroecosystems, and I basically put in the context of One Health. And when look in the definition of the health, it's basically like whether to WHO definition, FAO, and one thing is missing is the ecology. So without ecology, one say that I can be healthy, it's impossible. And someone's the stay with the medicines or synthetic input something, but that's not going to last longer. As I said in the morning, that we are already in the time bomb of the health system, not only human beings but health entire ecosystems. the insect, plants, and the microbial, the flora. We're losing the very drastically, so that we need to restore everything. The healthy agroecosystem become the foundation for food, nutrition, climate resilience, ecosystem services, and livelihoods. What I call it in the simple words: economically viable, ecologically sustainable landscape for better livelihood and the future. So we're trying to look into the framework of the five elements. And in this process, we look at the tree. I bring it again in the kind of a main frame of the agriculture transitions. What I call it, tree sequencing for green economic transition. So when I look into the tree of life, I put it here as a kind of a low carbon, the proven technology to fix the broken the food systems and climate crisis. And we can see that we are putting so many other benefits of the tree there, but I'm not even talking about the timber there anywhere. So the center part of this one is the healthy ecosystems, what we call agroforestry. And that is providing the supporting, provisioning, regulating, and the cultural aspect of that. So that context is basically addressing everything we need, right? So then you look into the our long term the restorations where you are coming from historically, not going from that one since I born to the right now. We're looking at that prospect of that 70s where the most of the agriculture the degradation started deteriorating in the process of addressing the calorie and yield centric movement, and we need to have that bended curve to in order to address. So at the present context, looking at the agroecosystems, how they are going to play the vital role, 2030, where the NDC targets and number of the global target you're achieving, and 47, what we call it as a self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar, and 2070 is the net zero, right? In order to achieve that, bend that curve to the from the present context to the 2070, and you have to be do it at the moment. If you delay further, and that target is going further. So that's in order to do that restoration, regeneration, resilience, we always talk about, that needs to be linked into the framework of a revenue, rewards, and recognitions. Until you not do this one, and we are not going to do that. So everyone know that there's a increasing the 1 degree temperature, 1.5 to 2 degrees, like what they are targeting the different and the prediction level. But the even like bring the more trees into mainstream the agriculture, this green curve can bending that one, not just only we are the ameliorating the increasing the temperature, but also the 1 degree cooler. So that's what we call. This is not the new science or anything. It has been proven well, and we are doing so much experiment on that aspect. So in order to do the context, because already degraded so much of the landscape and the regenerative practices, we need to do something much better than that. So this is where I call as the 5 key global green growth, GC. And this is where I am putting into the kind of biodiversity, that's where the diversity of the landscape. When the diversity of landscape and diversity of cropping system, diversity of livestock and feedlots and everything comes in the framework of the diversity. But the more diversity of the landscape we have, and more carbon sequestered. Carbon is very good if it's in the soil, in the plants, not in the atmosphere. So that we have to bring the carbon in the atmosphere back into the soil where it used to be the good effect. So that everything living things has a carbon, but carbon in the atmosphere is the not the good. So that you have to bring it down. When the biodiversity increased and carbon is increased, then the water security restored because of the soil becomes sponge, and trees help to percolate the more water to ground, so that we are regenerating our hydrological cycles and flow of the rivers, and then holding the more water in the soil and subsurface the basins. And once three things is put in the context, and then the productive become the functional productive became achievable, and then the less inputs and more productivity, that means the more income and the equity. So this is where the context we're talking about, why this becomes so the pertinent and vital forces to address this. That's going to be the putting this context of that everyone talk about SDGs. Look into the SDGs in the last 30 years, we're trying to address in the individually by the climate change, broken food systems, and bird losses, and unsustainable value chains. In that framework, we try to look into look only the hunger. One group of the people looking only hunger, other group looking at the land degradation, someone looking to the malnutrition, like that. That's not going to happen that way. It's everything interlinked. That's what the long term looking to those aspects. I felt that until you not link all the SDGs together as the center stage of that is the healthy ecosystems. That is the agroforestry, agroecological interventions is becoming vital forces. Let's take some example of how the trees is a vital forces. I'm not talking about now. It's very, very the old, like the almost 5,000 years ago. And that also show that water scarcity is not a new at the moment. It has been always persisting in the long-term cases. Like when the people converted the land into the more the homogeneous or monocropping systems, whether that happened the Roman or Mayan or the Mesopotamian or the Indus civilizations, everywhere that's what happened there. They're trying to, the human intervention always trying to make it the homogeneous landscape, while the rest of the plants, animals, they're always looking for the diversity. Anything became the homogeneous, that's the collapse of the civilization. That happened in the several times. The sixth, the extinction, that we are heading towards on that. So it's very clear that how trees are become very important. 10 wells equal to one pond, 10 ponds equal to one reservoir, 10 reservoir equal to one son, that is a child, and 10 child, the son equal to one tree. That really signifies how important the trees. So one killing the one tree means is murdering the 10 children. That's the concept. Looking at the framework, that's going to happen that way, right? So this is the framework I'm talking about that. Then I started looking to that one. How I was working in the Middle East and the North Africa nearly a decade to try to understand why that the cradle of civilizations and the cradle of the agriculture, what you call it, the fertile crescent. Once upon a time, we introduced what you eat now, the wheat and the chickpea and so many the grains were coming from that reasons. And how become that region became so degraded and devastated in the hundreds and the 200s of years of the cultivating that land. It's then looking at the Indian per capita water availability. It's not big difference between the what we see here inside the Middle East in the dry, because of there's a less number of people. That's per capita is maybe the distributed widely, but here the more highly populated the country like India. So that's where the we really crisis we're seeing that. So not much difference. You can see the desert going to happen, and if you not address that, the water, the security, and water is linked to the tree and agroforestry. So I just trying to put into the context of that one because of the two-thirds of the global populations live under the severe water scarcity, and most of them are not tropical dry areas. That is the context you can understand. So the often when I come back to India, the like agroforestry, I thought that they're looking to the trees means is a food, is a fodder, is a spices, is condiments, and is the climate regulator, temperature regulator, water regulator. But what I found that one is basically here the tree means the agroforestry means the timber. Timber means there's a commercial few species, that is the pulp and paper, and those few uses only. That's true. Like still, the 85% of our industrial wood requirement, especially paper and pulp, is coming from the agroforestry. That too, mere 4 to 5 the exotic species. But while we have the more than 3,000 species of the economically viable options, we never invested in those species improvement. We just only improvement to those exotic species improvement. I think that's where I really started looking at when often we ignore the what grow along the tree, on the trunk of the tree and beneath the tree. So that's where I start. This is one a picture I put in the timber, like in front of the FRI building. I was doing a lecture to the freshly IFS graduates there. I went to the outside, I looked into what can grow under the tree. I just because they would not believe that what can grow. So we need to master the way we can cultivate in the multifunctional, multi-layered system. So why it's become so important that tree is not just timber, tree is much behind the timber. That need to understand. Tree itself is the food. When sitting in the Alexandria Library, digging out the what Indian system used to be in the past, it's mostly the fruits and the nuts and the pulses and tubers. That's the major diets what we have used to be have. What we eat in the fasting days nowadays, right? So this is where I again putting back the healthy ecosystem become vital forces of this the restorations. So there is a lot of research has been done. What are the different types of the trees? So one thing is that we're not given enough emphasis on the trees-based agriculture, tree-based food system, tree-based livestock system, tree-based the essential oil systems, because we never invested too much on the research, development, extension, what we invested on the crop science. Right, looking to the amount of the crop sciences and our investment going, that is massively. Nearly 90% resources go into the crop sciences, but hardly to any tree improvement. I'm coming from the tree improvement background, but we're not much invested into the diversity of the things. When we had a PhD, when doing the diversity of the mapping Indian biodiversity and the tree diversity, we found that so much of the economic value, edible tree species, economic important tree species, and dyes, and the fibers. You take any of the industrial product coming from the trees, but we are not hardly invested in that landscape. That's become really when started looking the science of that bearing the transportatory change, what is required. It's enough science is there, but what is it, the last mile scalability is not there. Again, one of the things that I came to the understand that okay, India, we need to the 30% tree cover. So why the people they always talk about 30% tree cover is required? I just see there was any logic in that one. Looking at the digging out our research, and we found that the groundwater recharge, because that's become the next war is going to be the war of the water, and that is where the we are not able to restore, not able to the rejuvenate any lakes and rivers and the groundwater, because of we are we're extracting more than the we are replenishing. Obviously, the depletion is going to happen the day by day, and that way we're killing the most of the tree because of the tree roots not getting the what the required the moisture support during the drought conditions. And when I look into the groundwater recharge versus the canopy percent cover, it's very clear that around 30 to 35% of that's becoming flat. After that, of course, tree draw more the water from the ground because of their product, primary product is going to the substance increases. So if you bring at least 30% the green cover in the all the human induced landscape, the agriculture, degraded landscape, anything that one, the surface runoff becomes subsurface flow. I think that's what to be the triggering point that one. If you want to bring that about 15% of the area into the agricultural landscape, that's going to make a huge difference in the groundwater recharge. That links to a number of other aspects as well. So there is enough evidence is done, research has been done, and intermediate tree cover on the maximum the groundwater and recharge the seasonally dry tropics, and also tree grows in the modern agriculture, like a very intense agriculture, reduce the damage to environment by reducing the fertilizer use, carbon reduction, and removal as well. So this is what I'm looking at one. This is the one example I can give here from the one of my farm experiment here. During the peak of the rainy seasons, the ponds are very clean, very the clear water. And look into the water flowing the trench next to the farm. It's a clean water in the peak of rainy season. What does indicates here is very clear. So when the water is flowing the very clean, that means your soil is restored, your soil is become very sponge, your no-till practices, lot of the tree around the farm, and all the whatever rain happens, that's going to be there is no surface runoff. All the water go to the surface flow. In that way, we are reducing the floods and reducing the drought. Consistency of the drought and floods is like the two faces of the coin, and that's what you need to be bring that. This is where the one of my long ago the giving to the climate change talked in the COP, and my one of the biggest statement was that a day at least 50% of the surface runoff became a subsurface flow, to reach the food, water, nature, and climate security for all. That is what we need to require. That's where tree became vital forces. So why we losing the lot of the land? Why always those so many floods and droughts and reservoirs get silted so faster and capacity declining so drastically and losing the soil fertility? It's very simple. Our soils are dead and our soils are very compact. Basically, 60% of the global soils are very compact because of three reasons. One is loss of the diversity, because we're not using the multi-cropping systems. The diversity is lost. Because of that, the faunal and microbial and soil mulch and organic the retentions is lost. Secondly, using the lot of the fertilizer, and that also because of the deposition of the salt then in the beneath the flow layer. And third one is the loss of the tree cover. Having the trees in the farm, around the farm, and scattered in the farm, so the tree always they loosen the soil in the wind, and that's where the percolations happens. It's very clear evidence. You can see that this is where our farm, how the water flows. And here's one side is a deforested area. I put the one picture center here, and one side is the forest the intact. It's clearly show that how that the deforestation really leads to the loss of the soil fertility, land degradations. Obviously, we lose the resilience in the long-term way. So, putting that context, so we need to bring a system approach for green economic transitions and look into agroforestry as a green deal, the people, prosperity, and resilience in the center, and everyone need a food, even like every species required a good food. And in order to be resilient, as I was saying earlier in the morning, that nearly 40 crore people are diabetic and 30 crore people are under the chronic kind of a cancer, one or other kind of the cancer stages. So nearly half of the population the chronic diseases. That's what clearly show that our gut biome is drastically declined. In order to increase the gut biome, you have to bring the diversity in the crops and the landscape, and that's all the cycles bring in. In order to bring that diversity, you need the structure and function restored. Structure of the soil, structure of the landscape, that is the trees, crops, and livestock in combined, along with the people, of course, people as human beings, as animals. So that any farming system cannot be successful without the human interventions there in the farming system itself. So that structured functions are there in place, and productions by happens. And the production is there, then the services and well-being is going to happen. So that what we are doing it now is only looking into the productions and the question services. We forget the structure, functions, and the well-being. I think that's what you need to restore the back into the framework where the agroforestry play the vital role in the area of this thing. So I give a simple example here in the context of the closing loop. And when center is the like a the water, here is the what you can see this as a you can see my cursor. Yeah. So this is the basically the soil, healthy soil, and the trees. When the soil healthy and trees is there and water restored. When this happens in the loop, we are going to nature-friendly farming to the nature-friendly food. So that's where the farm animal care and farm with the trees and crop diversity, soil care. This comes to the like a the reducing the wastage and good food and sustainable diets and food connections and community and the so it's a context putting back into the way we produce and consume and dispose. It's whether either food or our day-to-day lifestyle, the products, the clothes or the cosmetics we're using that one. How we are producing, how we're manufacturing, how we're using them, how disposing, that is going to create a massive. So that's where to require a functional food systems for achieving the what you call NDC targets or SDG or climate change, the accelerations required in order to achieve that. So the context is coming. The One Health is becoming the priority. Just health of the not only the people. Only people health is not never going to happen until you not restore the health of the ecosystems. Forget about the health of the people. We are going to have a collapse in the drastic way. So this way, this one of the district when I visited, they declared that is a very long drought district, and there's no rain in the last 8 9 months. And when I came from US and I just took the satellite picture of the entire one season, I took the maximum NDVI, the indices of that particular landscape. I found that some of the patches are still green despite a very prolonged drought. I drive my vehicle to there. I found that those are agroforestry systems. Those are practice generation they're doing. They're not shifted to the monocropping. They're doing the diversified cropping system, very integrated livestock system, fodder trees, and the fruit trees. So that farmer is fantastic. He's not bothered about the drought and floods because of when the heavy rains happens, he holds all the waters, and so there is no there's a consequent drought. When I thought that one, this is what really required in order to restore a system approach for bringing the trees into mainstream agriculture for restoration of the functional agroecosystem. And this is when I started looking where are the opportunities are there to do this one. When we started mapping the entire India, the where you can put the more trees, where are the treeless landscape, what we call tree deficit landscape of India. Nearly 90% or 89% of the Indian landscape, agricultural landscape, there is no trees. Tree deficits are there. I'm talking about outside the recorded forest area. So within the agriculture arable lands areas outside that the demarcated forest area is basically hardly any trees left in the farming system. And that is the very ironic situations. So that's what I consider that as a challenges plus opportunities together. So there we need to shift the paradigm towards a functional productivity, a profitability, sustainability, and climate resilience, so that by linking the ecology to the economy. We're just talking about only economic centric. That's what we have been doing for the last several decades, and we are forgetting the ecology. We need to marry ecology to economy. Then it's going to happen something there. That's what we need to create natural economic zones, not just to the one district, one product, but had to be the ecocentric development that's going to happen. So can you guess that one? What is this one? Anyone in the group can able to the guess? It looks a beautiful picture, right? This is one of the high perspective like a drone picture. So for the only single crop, these are rice fields. But what you can see in the rice field, some of the area, they are the burned areas, some they are staggered plantings, some are left fallows. But one thing is common, the fingerprinting of the farmers is what I call it. Every field is very unique in terms of the staggered planting, variety they planted, the fertilizer, weed they're managing, and amount of irrigation they're applying. So that when put in the signature of the spectral signature, every farm behave very uniquely. So, but one thing very common is all the field boundaries, nothing is there. So when I started looking at that one, when I talking to some of the bureaucracies and politicians, they say that, sir, we not have much land to plant the trees. When looking into the just board, they're taking the small district of Devas in MP. So looking at that, the foreign boundary mapped, amount of the area available for the planting the tree and the burns, nearly that makes it about nearly 18% of tree cover possible. Even if you achieve the only one third of that landscape into the green cover, you can going to achieve so much of that. Just like a planting to the rows of tree and the burns 2 meter this side, 2 meter this side, 4 meter canopy cover, that can bring nearly about 18 to 19% of the tree cover in the farming systems. That's basically achieving everything. I'm not going to take any land in the inside the farm, only talking about the farm boundaries. So that we need a 25%, we need another 8% to achieve the 33% target. Just taking about 30% of the 10% of what we have, this one, we are going to reach our target, right? So, but where, how can we do that one? So we are like sometimes what we look at that one, there is a good particular species very the suitable for agroforestry, for example, as melia or the sandal or the teak. We try to grow that tree everywhere possible without looking at the ecological niche where they can withstand, they can thrive without any external care, rather than just where economic important. We're trying to take it anywhere, put in a lot of inputs so that your return will be the not at all profitable. So we need to looking into the AI-based simulation, the agroforestry model framework for planning model impact. So let's just give you a quick example, consider time here. So we just did a very few models here. That one, if we're looking at that, I give you a simple example, the corn or maize, it's expanding drastically in India, and per acre make about 60K, something like that. That one, and we put into that the agroforestry model here. And the initial maybe a little bit the loss is going to happen the first or second year, but third year restoring that 60K per. But subsequent years is going to increase the yield. By the time of the like you're reaching about 78, 9 years, we're going to 500K. So, but this also associated with the economic return. We have to do it not just like one farm or two farm. We have to do like cluster of the farms together so that aggregated marketing possible, so that economic return is much higher. So potential is so high. We need to model like these things to the individual landscape and agroecological zones so that we can the profitability much higher. So when I start looking into the agroforestry policies and existing for so many years, and why still agroforestry became so, it's like they're not the successful or popular despite of the all the national agroforestry policy, everything, but we not try to understand the ecological framework of the how trees can be integrated into farming system dynamics, and aggregated marketing and value chains is not addressed. I think that's where the priority. So that's where we're working the different landscape approach to looking at that. What kind of the tree combinations can really help us to address the net return of the farming systems in terms of the reducing the labor, reducing the water requirement, reducing the input cost and energy cost, but moving towards the more and return side, so that with the less inputs and more return, and second, less labor intensive system. This is where people often think that like I see several of our colleagues and the retired professor doing that one. One professor can manage about 10 to 15 acres of the land and making about nearly 6 to the 7 lakh per acre. So that's where the model really they require. That's where the dedication is required to address this. The economical scaling is possible. So this is again also the trying to break the myth of the long gestation period of the tree-based systems of an agroforestry, because we are looking only timber side. Looking to the very like early return interventions while the large timber trees growing. For example, you're going the 6 month return, like a half yearly return, things of like a papaya or guava or a drumstick and suspenia. So many of the species can grow as a perennial species, but they start yielding within the 6 months, so that within a year there is a return of the investment should be there. So there is no gap in the yield penalty shouldn't be there. I think that's where we have a number of models we can do that very successfully, but we need to implement in the ground level. So same thing, like I'm giving a few quick examples. Like I'm like watching my time. So we have another 30 minutes just to go. What I can run through this one, some success stories and different levels, like a mainstream agroforest for economic and ecological security. So trying to look at the cotton agroforest model here, how best you can integrate the number of the different species, like a short duration vegetables, along with the same infrastructure, the drip irrigation using for the cotton, we can grow a number of 6 to 7 vegetables before the cotton cannot be take the cover, so that your input cost in terms of the fertilizer, in terms of the pesticide go drastically down, and your return will be much higher, 8 times more return than the regular just cotton only based system. What we call a compounding of the productivity is becoming the vital forces to increase the productivity, right? So again, looking into the some of the horticulture, because this morning I saw that some of the colleagues and they're talking about they are coming from horticulture, and horticulture is also the part of the agroforest system, agricultural framework. What I did that one, like we used to grow a lot of our in our area, a lot of this pomegranate, right? One the conventional pomegranate, what's the very systematic and the pruning and trimming, keeping the land very clean so that the productivity increase, but that's completely wrong actually. The investment going in the pruning and the killing the injuring the plant, and then there is treating them, and that's the cost is so high. What I did is basically like agroecological approach. Instead of going only monocropping the pomegranate to the next the site, I planted a pomegranate, mango, and guava, and then there's no tilling, left the weed as it is as a mulch, and also put a sweet potato, some other pulses, and along with the weed, and weed got suppressed. In fact, there's nothing called a weed. Everything is something they adding to the organic matter to the soil. With this process, what is the amount of the water required that the plant that doing so well, and there is no irrigation required after a few years, and there is no tilling, there is no weeding, there is no fertilizer, there is no pesticide. So this very zero cost of the interventions, and you're not injuring the plant. What happens in the pruning, frequent pruning, is you are creating injury to the plant. Look at you keep on cutting your fingers every the season. What's going to happen? That same thing happened into this natural process. We're avoiding that injury, creating the injury. So basically, the plants thriving very dynamically, so that productivity much higher, and the most importantly is the quality, taste, and flavor of the produce come out in the agroecological process is much higher nutritions, and zero basically the pesticide and residue in that. So that's what the vitality of the food system became a very the important. And looking at while studying in the Himalayas, like I want to do my PhD in the Himalayas, I look at the dimension of the hilly areas, so much of the potential for the tree-based system, but we are doing it today, growing their wheat or something like the crop that's not fit for there. So that's what we call the ghost villages. Look into for me. Sorry. So okay. So this is where we need to have the mountainous the landscape. We need to bring the more trees rather than the crop-based system, that one, so that you can avoid the landslide issues, and then also the ghost villages. A lot of people are leaving the villages to coming back with labor shortages, and that's where we need to bring the something like that the system approach, so that we are not require too much labor, but intensity of the return will be much higher. So this again example I'm giving, that this is again I just the 2 days ago in the village, and this is our farm, like a prolonged drought. You know that this time how severe drought in the North Karnataka and southern part, and hardly there is any rain. But when I was surprised that when our the entire mixed plantation approach, where we're planting really about 10 times of the fruit together, like a lemon, like a sapota, this guava, mango, and coconut, and all them together, they're growing as a kind of a food forest. They're thriving so well despite of there is no irrigation, there is no the water. So that's what the magic of the soil health and integrated system approach that we need to bring back. And looking into some of the like a highly intensified system, like a coconut oregano plantations, and growing a daily about the our professors, like when you see in the inlet of the picture. So Professor Shivananjaya is retired professor. He's making about 6 to 7 lakh per acre, so that he just 40 kg of the green pepper harvest one drumstick tree. The pepper plant is what is growing here. It's the big pepper plant and the drumstick tree. You can harvest nearly 40 kg green pepper, eating is the dry, and the growing the vanilla and ilachi and some other spices along the same system. So this is where he not flowing, he not tilling, he not doing anything unnecessary, useless work. What he's doing is basically harvesting those things. This is what really interesting. This is
Hello, sir. You are not audible, sir. And screen also stopped.
Hello, ma'am. I think sir has lost the connection.
Yes, yes,
Let
yes.
me,
We
let,
will wait for 5 minutes.
yeah.
All the participants, please bear with us. Sir has lost the connection. I think he has joined again.
Sorry, there's a power cut suddenly.
Okay, sir. Okay, these things
Can
happen,
you
sir, during online
please share your
sessions.
screen again?
Now, I think our UPS systems working, but it is also not working. So I have to connect with my mobile. So can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we hear you.
Okay, let me share the screen again. So sorry for that, the sudden power cut. So you can see the screen now.
Yes, sir. It is visible. Please go ahead.
Okay. So again, sorry for the trouble. So that we might lose some time here. And this is another the one urban forest model, because this become very vital forces because of why urban greening, urban agroforestry become very, very important now. Number of reasons. I give hundreds of reasons. I give this one. One is the heat island effect, and secondly the 4% green cover. It's 1 degree temperature, struggling to the only the 1.5 to 2 degree temperature, and also the biodiversity. And secondly, the number of people living in the cities. Nearly 70%, the 60 to nearly 65% of the people in the urban living. That means the more than half of the population living in the urban area. So that means we need to be the homestead garden becoming the very vital for whether do it in backyard, front yard, and the rooftop. So that's what this is where I did is basically I constructed the half of the our home into the building, and the half of the area we're growing the mostly the fruit trees, and later 50 types of the local fruit trees growing there. That means basically the at least any given time there is some fruits is growing in our backyard. So that's what you can see. Inlet of the picture, you can see there's all that's coming from the same piece of the land. So that's where it's not just only the meeting your nutrition requirement, but the most important, providing the good habitat for the bees, honeybees, butterflies, and also creating the living lungs in the cities. I think this needs to be the one of the prominent our investments should be doing it in order to make a climate smart cities. So nowadays we talk about climate smart is putting electricity or Wi-Fi or internet. They think the climate smart, the smart cities. That is not the smart cities. Smart cities when there is life of the greenness in the more in the city. That's where this climate smart. And we know this on Bangalore. I'm not talking from the Bangalore now. And Bangalore, even water crisis, talk a lot of the volume, urban green, all things. It is the critical. And the way I'm living that one, the community is basically bring them together, planting a lot of trees in front of the houses. They're living quite a lot of the area in the front of the houses. So they turn into the kind of a garden, like a growing a lot of the trees and herbs and the spices. And within the 2020, the 5 days, what we're harvesting here is you can see lettuce is other thing. It's such a beautiful thing that when the kids wake up, bring the roti or the burgers, bread, and cut the fresh lettuces and vegetables and put in the crunchy thing they can eat. I think that's what makes the huge difference because connecting the nature is most important for us. And the school garden, this is the end of the school garden here. Like they're entire they're removing that all these unnecessary ornamental plants. They put all the fruit trees there, fruit and vegetables. Kids can eat and they using the school the cooking that one. That's really they're making a lot of difference. And also like a lot of the land absent land and land abandoned lands are there. So what will the rich people buy the land, put the like a kind of the cement concrete wall and left that land nothing to do anything. So those are the lands, massive amount of the land. I want to give the actual picture because of this is quite alarming. The rate of the land is locked by the rich and industries and spiritual the leaders. You can bring that lands into the agroforest. That's just a massive thing. The farm resort is what I'm doing it now, and we're turning those like the absentee land into farm resort concept, so that we can really build that very sustainable framework landscape, and that's really the highly the return of income. So we can always go into very details on that one. So like this is you can see this is the one example I came from this list. Can anyone guess that what is this one? I'm sure that no one can guess. This is the garbage pit, building the green landscape on the heap of the big garbage, the city garbages, and that's where you won't notice that there's a garbage pit in the beneath this landscape, and a lot of the degraded hillocks and landscape. You can turn that into kind of a the restoration project, and this is what we are doing here. That's become a lot of forces. So, what is basically I'm trying to help you the understand here is whether the graduate, where the primary school children or the graduates or the professors, the retirees, doesn't matter who is that one. So the best investment parents can do for their children is taking them to the nature when in the initial stages of the exposure to nature, so they can do the fantastic on that. So just like it's not about just anything, any take whether take a Bible or Bhagavad Gita or the Quran. Look at the amount of the respect they given to the trees and the greeneries, entire those literature. But you're hardly doing that one. Except trees and everything, we talk everything about in that those granthas, but that's what we require to be addressed. The nature-centric development has become, and we have the massive amount of dry areas like the cold desert in the Kashmir to the hot desert in the Gujarat to the very different landscape. So that's we need to bring the kind of a combined approach of the scaling up this landscape level, trees and the photovoltaic system and the crop combined. And we talk too much of the complex systems. We not want to do that complexity. Look into the different component, whether take the community empowerment, the diverse resident landscape, value addition market access, livestock, fisheries, and interior farming systems. And tree is the common factor. If the tree is not there in anything we take, whether take it even fish, if the watershed is no trees, and the fish is also not going to survive because of that trees not the flow of the water is not there in the enough in the aquatic ecosystems. Take horticulture, take agriculture, take the livestock. We're talking about the livestock here is quite a bit on that, where mostly the stock fed the feed is coming like grain and everything going to the stock feed. But that's where the myth of the methane is. I talk about always that So if you feed the what ideal the feed stock for the animals, and hardly they can emit much of that because of we are with the sequestering mode of like a take the crop residue. How we used to manage any crop residue you turn into the compost. You require 3 to 6 months, whatever technology you use it, and but the feeding that into the animals within 24 you get the biofertilizer. So they will sequester more carbon into the soil than doing whatever the emission coming in the methane. So that is the balance. You can calculate that one where you are sequestering more than what they emit. So this need to bring it to the balanced diets, whether animals or the humans. We need to have the right food is really very required. That's where the agroforestry play the vital role. So that complex systems I put in the very simplistic way, understandable. So you can show this picture of villagers. Oh, we need to have that river. We need to have the transport systems. We need to have the processing units. Need to have the like the trees along the bunds and the aquatic ecosystems and nurseries. So this kind of system you could put in the framework of integrated farming, so what you call green growth. The tradition in the transitions, we cannot move away from the tradition because of the diversity of the crops and the lifestyles is a link to the traditions. How best you can adapt to traditions where take the any landscape. India blessed with every kind of a landscape, every kind of the agroclimatic zones, every kind of the religion, every kind of the customs and practices. Every 100 the 50 kilometer you can move, you can change in the weather pattern, you can change in the diet pattern. So that's so complex systems we have. Anything we develop here, it can be replicated any part of the world. I think that is the what I call it as the this is system could provide the not just about supporting to the framework in terms of the habitat, biodiversity, or soil formulas, but the provisioning that's become one food and the living standards and lifestyle and culture. That should be regulating along with all the framework together. So when we talk about the net zero, the traditions and transitions, what I call it, that food fodder, fuel, fiber, fertilizer, health, take anything now. The natural, what we call nature takes or natural fiber become very important because of the synthetic fibers. Most one is polluting the environment, but also polluting our own bodies because of the microfibers. So that the drastic shift in the natural fibers, and trees are the so many where the flosses in the pods to the fibers in the bark to the cellulose in the wood. So all that can provide the fantastic the natural fibers that's required to be restored those environmental and social and economic benefits into the framework. So the growing wellness has become a very very vital forces, and we need to have a bring back a tree-based system to that one. So during this example of the COVID, there's one of the graduate came back to me that said, I lost my job. I need a job. I just asked, do you have the land? He said, yes, sir, I have a couple of acre of land. So can you do the what I'm asking? You're going to return much. So what he did is started in the June, by the December, he harvested the 4 crops, right? So doing the natural processing along with the trees and framework together so that return will be higher. Ask him to accountability of the whatever is doing that one, every single penny spent that one, and making it about 2 lakh rupees per acre. That is the win-win situation for the farmers consuming nature. So that he thought that, sir, I not want to go back to job. I'm just getting only 35 and the thousand and all the expenses. But at the end of the month, and I think I was saving. Now I am eating very good food. I'm taking care of my parents, and also I'm earning, and also I'm serving the nature. I think this is the what we call a career opportunity. You look at that one. The one of this the very big meeting in ICR level headed by this transition of the reforming the Indian what call agriculture education systems. And the one of my the simplest question was that we teach 4 years of the agriculture, the forest graduations. None of them come back to the agriculture. Then what we are teaching them? Something we have to think very seriously that. So if the doctors when study they become doctors and the engineer become engineers. When we study about agriculture, they're not going to become agriculturists. So that's one of the biggest tragedy we are education system because of we are not practicing what required our landscape approach. Context specific retention is required. So that I give so many examples that one return is much higher than any industrial the return coming where that one. So we need to have a farmers, youth, and citizen science driven startups and looking at the agriculture centric development. And we need to have evidence based. We have the evidence should be there. So this is the landscape, the rich, and there a rural movement is going to transfer that one. This is what I'm doing. Like this is the kind of a sorry, this just like 2 days ago, creating the mass the we'll stop that one. I'll stop that one. This is basically like my village level. The within day, that's the bring back the livestock into the mainstream agriculture. So livestock become a recycling agent, and then there is a return in terms of the milk or the fertilizer, that format manure. That's become the biggest risk return. Then you can bring the trees, marabilis, that's bring the more trees, and that leads to the save the soil. I think these are the context together need to address the framing system and a factorial approach. We cannot do that one just like a war to the entire Indian landscape. That's wrong to do it. Do it to something the systematic way, which systems can work where, and whether you can do the cluster way, we can aggregated way, and the landscape level, so that you can slowly increase into the like a the large what you call scaling approach. You can do that. So that's where we have a transition to the digital technologies, and the India is one of the largest the user of the mobile as a data plans, and there is over 100 million, the 150 million farmers that one collecting a lot of data, turn that into structured unstructured data, make useful decisions. We are doing very good at agriculture research and sustainable framework and digital augmentations. What is required? We need to connect that science technology to the producer consumer institutions, so that can restore the functional properties of the landscape with the water efficiency and the food and nutrition, agroecology, and citizen system resilience. That's all linked into the, when you link them together into all the science and the last mile, the mile. So this way I try to integration interpret is very important. We did a lot of research at the crop side, tree side, animal side, soil, water, agronomy, weather, and trade, but they all are in the silos. We're not able to link it. Just look into the forestry department or agri department, the water, and the IT. They won't say that, oh, I'm not belongs to this. They are kind of isolated. We need to break the silos, so that the same thing happened with the, what in the human health system. That one, okay, treating the eye separate and treating the ankle separate, treating the dental separate, teeth separate. That's not going to happen. Now they realize that one, or treating the stomach, that's the gut biome. When the stomach is healthy, eating the healthy, then it basically take care of the rest of the body. I think that's what a meta-analytical framework we need to bring in the agriculture farming systems, inclusive ecosystem where the people, crops, animals, trees that combine together, that will restore the ecological functionality of the farming systems. So there is a digital augmentation is there, agroforestry and the tree, the outside forest interventions. How best can bring from the identifying a niche species they can do fantastically. If I grow the apple in the Kashmir, that has the more nutrition and the flavor and taste. But if I'm breeding, I can breed the apple to grow the tropical climate. Of course, in my Bijap district, where it's hot climate, where somewhere or some of the farmers growing the apple, but apple eat in the Kulu and Manali is the Kashmir apple, and apple eat here. That's no comparison. So we are basically trying to fool ourselves that apple is very the tasty, that's more popular than trying to grow apple everywhere. That's the mistake. We shouldn't be doing it. And we have so many the tropical fruit tree species, the nut species, and the condiments and spices and vegetables, and even so many tree species of the leafy vegetables, to so many tree species of flowers as a vegetable. So we have diversity of the systems are there. We can identify the niche of that, what species can grow where. So we can focus on that as a geographic identity, and then you can look at the in-season practices and post-harvesting. So that there is a lot of the things is that we can do the innovation there that existing. We can talk on and itself the slide itself. I talk about an hour. So that pre-planning, in-seasons, and post-harvesting. So the real-time dashboard to address what we are doing and social outreach. That's what I call ecological, sustainable, economy viable land scale and option. So but of course, you need investment as the crop science and genomic science. You are getting that so much of the monocropping side. You are getting the investment in the few crops and a few trees. But you need to bring the regenerative to revenue generative. You have to invest more to food system as a whole. You bring the more diversity as much as possible. Why you need to invest more on that landscape? It's very clear that where investment would happen. So the growing the recognitions of the agroforestry for the nourishment, carbon neutral, net zero, well-being, and climate resilience, ecologically sustainable, economically profitable. That's becoming very, very vital forces. It's very clear that amount of research we look into all the evidence is that agroforest can return 8 to 13 times more profit than the conventional agriculture with a peace of mind and contentment of the actions. I think this is what driven by the incentive driven the mechanisms is required. So this is a vision that I talk about. Let me put this one here. The paradigm shift towards the system approach for green economic transition is very essential. And when looking at the Eat Lancet Commission report, anyone reading that one, you can must read that one. what the amount of the fruits and vegetables required in our food plate is about at least 30%. So my target is talking about that by 2030, at least 30% of the food plate should have the food coming from the naturally grown tree-based systems like fresh fruits and vegetables and nuts and spices, those condiments, and that's considered about 30%. Right now is less 5%. If we make it 30% of that one, we already reached the sustainable development goal. And as recommendations, they talk about we need to have at least half of our plate should have a fruits, spices, vegetables, all that coming from the plant-based the system. And another 50% eat whatever, you rice, wheat, and meat, whatever it. But that 50% should be the coming from the tree-based system. That's what you reached really the pre-industrial the food systems, and the revolution would happen that way. So this is what the with this the closing. I'm going to tell that the production follows functions. Let's leverage the technology and diversity, local intelligence, indigenous wisdom to rebuild the broken food systems for the healthy living and planetary health. The broken food system is just not the grains; it's about everything we eat. So in terms of the fruits, vegetables, spices, condiments, that all that's constitute our healthy systems. And this way, the inclusive agroecosystem for nourishing lives, landscape, and green economic transition possible. Thank you so much. I can stop here, and happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really great listening to you. The concept of green growth that you mentioned, it was actually really informative session for me also, because showing with the help of pictures and telling a story means something else rather than narrating everything and anything. Sir, your concepts on this smart city, I like that one. That the concept how we are now seeing smart city and what it should actually mean, it was really great, sir, listening to you. So if we have some questions, and you can ping in chat box, or else you can
Ask
unmute.
any questions and keep it as very friendly and open discussions, because I love to hear that any opinions you would like to express, or keep it your questions very short and the point. We have to take it. Any question, doesn't matter what your questions you ask that. You may raise the hands, or put in the text box.
Yes, else you can unmute and just narrate it. There are no questions so far.
Good.
And if anybody has any questions, Sarah has given their contact email also, so you can write your queries if that is the case. Otherwise, sir, it was really nice listening to you. It was a eye-opening session, at least for me, and it was really great having that defining complexity and how we try to, have a built a narrow focus on one thing and forget about the other. Because a farm, when we see, yes, it is really complex, and then farmer needs everything. Like, it is not just the one that we trigger or that we have a focus, but we should have some of a larger picture too. Thank you, sir. It was really great listening to you.
So much. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Have a happy weekend. Yeah, have a happy weekend and see you all on Monday.
See you. Goodbye. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Yeah.
Take care. Bye.